got some in, I haven't got them all back.
Attention, all cell phones, pagers, and electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting of the Terrebonne Parish Council Wednesday, March 9th to order. And Mr. Harding, could you please lead us in a prayer followed by a pledge?
Heavenly Father, as this day has progressed until this moment, oh God, we appreciate the sunshine as well as we appreciate the rain. Oh God, we ask that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding come from above, oh God, that we can take care of the affairs of the Terrebonne Parish, oh God, and the people, oh God. And we ask this in your darling Son, Jesus' name, amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Hampton, roll call.
Mr. Dirk Guidry, Mr. Trosclair, Mr. Navy, Mr. Harding,
Here.
Mr. Michel, Mr. Amade, Ms. Domain, Mr. Darren Guidry,
Here.
Mr. Babbitt. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
I do have a couple of announcements. Mr. Steve Trosclair sent a letter saying, please accept my apologies for not being able to be in attendance in tonight's meeting due to a work-related issue. I have reviewed the agenda and have made known my concerns. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. And Ms. Jessica Domain has submitted information trying to ask for her absence to be excused as she is attending the Police Jury Association meeting today. Approved minutes of the regular council session held on February 9th, 2022. Move Mr. Harding. Seconded Mr. Amity. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Distribute minutes of the regular council session held on February 23rd, 2022, which we've done. Approve accounts payable bill list for March 2nd, 2022 and March 7th, 2022. Moved by Mr. Guidry, seconded by Mr. Harding. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion is approved. Approve manual checklist December 2021 and January 2022. Moved by Mr. Michel, seconded by Mr. Guidry. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. General business. Proclamation proclaiming March 17th as Retired Teachers' Day in Terrebonne Parish. Mr. John Navy.
You got me on? Thank you. It gives me definitely a pleasure and honor to read this proclamation. City of Houma, Louisiana, Parish of Terrebonne. A proclamation whereas Louisiana retired teachers have devoted their careers to educating and training literally thousands upon thousands of Louisiana youth, and where Louisiana retired teachers has provided primary educational assistance to hundreds of adults in the state who, for one reason or another, fell behind academically and lacked the social skills necessary for job placement, and whereas many Louisiana retired teachers continue to volunteer their services and retirees in the efforts to teach others the benefits of diversifying leadership roles in their communities and institutions, and where Louisiana retired teachers have assisted in laying a solid foundation for the welfare of literate and progressive society, and whereas the experience and training of Louisiana retired teachers have benefited our communities as a whole by increasing the productivity of students and adults who have then gone on to become state and national leaders. And whereas Louisiana retired teachers are dedicated and dependable individuals who have inspired the leaders of our community, state, and the nation, therefore be it resolved that the Terrebonne Parish Council, on behalf of the Terrebonne Parish President Gordon E. Dove and the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, that March the 17th, 2022 be hereby proclaimed as Retired Teachers Day. It's further resolved that the parish, this proclamation be duly acknowledged. This the ninth day of March the 2022, signed by Gordon E. Dove, Parish President, Darren W. Guidry, Senior Council Chairman, and the rest of the Terrebonne Parish Council. I have two proclamations here. I'm not sure who's here to receive both proclamations. Okay. Can you all come up and say a few words, whoever's here?
I guess you and me. Yeah, let's go.
Let me say a few things before we get up and give you the proclamation. Just by myself being in the education system and my family members, all you all know, principals and teachers, Some still here, some going on to. But anyway, I am so proud to do this for the simple fact that this year I'll be retiring, and I hope to be up there coming with you all to receive it when the council give it to me, with you all. And it's a pleasure because I know education is a serious matter for us to understand. And the fact that our school has been at this place, we're at Terrebonne High School, sharing the building there, and trying to educate kids, getting 35 minutes a class period is that's another story. But I do understand the adversities you all go as being teachers, and even now, I mean, the system has changed so much. I can't tell you how much it is to tip my hat off to you all.
Thank you.
Because it's a challenge. But I love the fact that y'all do your best. I don't know why we paid less, by the way, but you all do your best, and I'm just proud to just do this proclamation to you all.
Thank you so much. We are the members, my name is Floridine Williams, and this is Denise Johnson, and we're members of the Retired Teachers Education Association, and we extend our sincere appreciation to you all for recognizing us on this beautiful day. You know, it is quite an honor. We're so grateful to God that we're retired. It's a blessing to be retired. And so thank you so much for this honor.
Stay there. Let us present.
And I want you to write that speech down for me because I want to say that next year. Okay?
Let us present the certificate for you, and we have some lights.
Okay. Especially when you're retiring. That's right. That's right. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Such a blessing. Thank you. Thank you. So sweet. Just so sweet. Thank you.
Mr. Babin.
Yes, like Mr. Navy, I want to thank y'all for what y'all do. I mean, none of us would be here without teachers. My wife has been retired now 11 years, okay?
Yes. She did.
I know,
Yes.
I know, that's why I wanted to say, and like John's, educators run in my family. My brother's a retired principal from Terrebonne Parish
indeed.
many years ago, okay? But no, thank y'all so much for what you do. And it's not easy, because when I got back out to service, I tried teaching for 2 or 3 years.
That was it.
I realized it wasn't good for me nor for the students, okay? So in any event, thank y'all very much for what you do.
Okay,
I'm glad y'all retired. Y'all look too young to be retired, though, okay?
Thank you. That's a blessing. Thank you so much, okay?
Mr. Harding.
Yes, of course, you guys couldn't come up there without me saying anything because actually, you guys have been knowing you since
girls.
since Huck was a pup. But then it's great to see you guys accept that for a number of other teachers that comes out of the community and has done very, very well for the kids. And we looking to take some of the things that you guys have left and implement those things within the school system where they can come up and set up here where we are. So appreciate y'all efforts.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Such beautiful expressions from you all. We appreciate it so much.
Mr. Michel.
Ladies, thank you so much for everything you do. I'm actually a teacher,
Okay.
and I'm very jealous that y'all are retired. But then I look over there and I see how young y'all look, and then standing next to Mr. Navy, he's got so much gray hair. I don't know how he could not be retired, and y'all are retired.
We'll tell him all secrets once he retires.
But seriously, thank y'all so much, and you know, we appreciate. We appreciate everything that y'all do for the kids here. And let me tell you, I'll fight every day for these kids in Terrebonne, even though I don't teach in Terrebonne, but I fight every day for the kids in Terrebonne, and will continue to do so. And thank you all for everything you're doing. God bless you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I know you're in the education system, John's in the education system, and we have a gray hair disparity, but you notice he's on the council too, so I think the council's giving him the gray hair. I don't think it's... Thank you so much. Item B, proclaiming Women's History Month in Homa Terrebonne. Mr. Amady.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have the honor once again this year of reading this proclamation and recognizing all the women and the accomplishments that they've been able to do. Whereas on February 28, 1909, the first Women's History Day was commemorated in New York City after garment workers, most of whom were 12-year-old girls, went on strike to protest their working conditions and 12-hour workdays. And whereas in an attempt to draw attention to women's history not being taught in grades K through 12 curriculums, an education task force in Sonoma County, California, kicked off the first International Women's Day on March 8, 1978. And whereas while in 1980, President Jimmy Carter declared the week of March 8, 1980 as Women's History Week across the country, it wasn't until 1987 that activists were successful in lobbying Congress to declare the month of March as Women's History Month. And whereas the plight of women throughout historical records and their triumphant strides of victory in the right to vote, equal pay, gender discrimination, equal credit opportunities, pregnancy discrimination at work, civil jury selection, educational opportunities at state-funded schools, and breaking glass ceilings today. And whereas this year's theme, Women Providing Healing, Promoting Hope, is both a tribute to the ceaseless work of caregivers and frontline workers during this ongoing pandemic, and also a recognition of the thousands of ways that women of all cultures have provided both healing and hope throughout history. And whereas all citizens are encouraged to learn more about Women's History Month and the perseverance of women, now therefore be it resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on the behalf of Parish President Gordon E. Dove and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government that March 2022 be hereby declared Women's History Month on this 9th day of March 2022. It's signed by Gordon E. Dove, Parish President, Darren W. Guidry Sr., Council Chairman, and the whole entire Terrebonne Parish Council. And I wanted to ask Ms. Candace Malden, the CFO of Terrebonne Parish Government, who works tirelessly to keep this thing in operation, to accept this. And I see another couple ladies here, our clerk over there too. If you would like to join us and be a part of this picture and be recognized for the things that you're doing, I would appreciate that. With that, Mr. Guidry, you coming?
Mr. Navy.
No, I've been here 10 years. I'm trying to remember the first time we ever had Women's History Month. Is this the first time? We had it before, okay. Last year? Okay, this is the second time. That's great. And I'm gonna tell you why it's great. You know, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago about equity and inclusion, and I can tell you in diversifying, that's great that we can sit here and have Women History Month to show the gender equality that we have in our society, so that a woman is just as equal as a man. And that's the thing, that the quality of life that we need to express. You know, as men, we need to respect that, by the way, that we all are equal. That's, you know, and one thing I say, and it's just from the spiritual aspect of it, equally yoked. That don't mean that the man got to be here and women got to be there. Equally, I mean, we on the same level. So I just would like to get that across so we can all understand the fact that we're just as equal. Candace, I need some more money for my budget, by the way. Okay, so I just want to let you know that. I'm milking it, I'm getting stronger, okay? But I just like to know, I just want to get that across, that I'm glad you did that, John, because I think that we need to do that all the time, because and the reason why I'm saying this, and I'm gonna shut up after this. My mother made 80 years old March the 7th, 80. And I said, Mom, what you want? And she said, she called me Tony. She said, Tony, all I want you to do is just be thankful that I'm still here. And I almost cried because I said, you know what, Mom, you're right. I appreciate the fact that my mom is 80 years old and still here. And raising two boys when my father died, I was 3 years old, and my little brother was 3 months. My mom never remarried and raised us single-handed. So when you're talking about appreciation, I agree with that, because my mom told me this, and I'm saying this because of gender equality. My mom said, Tony, don't give me my roses when I'm gone. Show me how much you appreciate me now while I'm still here. And it goes a long way, and I'm just thinking out of my heart to think about how we should appreciate a woman, because every last one of us in this room came from a woman. Think about that. Thank you.
And Ms. Maldon, you may be sorry you accepted that award. Mr. Babin.
Yeah, John, you talk about equality. I've been married for 52 years, and I've been trying to get equal to my wife, and I can't do it, okay? No, in any event, I just want to thank all the women out there. I mean, this world can't live without you. So thank you very much.
Mr. Amity.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a final thing, because I know John, being in education, probably has a strong love for history, as I do. And if you look back in history, the movements of equality and the right to vote, the women partnered with the African American community to fight together, and that's what you do when you have a strong opposition. You find all those that are willing to work with you, and you get out there and you do what you have to do. And we'll just keep praying that as we progress as a civilization, that we'll all get better and better after it. A lot of strides have been made, and I'm hoping that before the good Lord takes me, I see where we can accomplish that unity and equality. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Amen. Thank you, John. Moving along, PowerPoint presentation by Mr. Lawrence Dehart from the Terrebonne Churches United Food Bank Incorporated regarding updates. Mr. Dehart.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. Yes, I feel like I've aged. This has been 5 years, right, since I last addressed. Let's see, where's advance? Yes. Okay. This council has had updates on housing and is on structures, infrastructure and such since Hurricane Ida. And one of the things that I felt very strongly on, and several councilmen thought it was a good idea, was to talk about the human factor of what has happened since Ida. And so where some people see roads and bridges, I see people. And that's what I want to go ahead and keep the real thing the real thing. TCU never closed. We even actually, the night of the storm, were actually out by phone call when we didn't have because of our work with the EOC, and there was no shelter of last resort. So I got a phone call from Kelly and saying, please, if I got you an escort, could you go ahead and come out and deliver stuff to the Civic Center? We ended up making 2, and we actually opened for business full steam, and we're delivering by 7:30 the next morning. So like COVID, we never closed. We spent the next 4 months being open 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. And I want to give you an idea of where we stand as a parish from a human standpoint. Just to give you an idea of the difference on the left-hand side, and some of you have a copy in front if you can't see the screen real well. Just to compare where we went from 2020 to 2021. We had COVID in 2020. We actually doubled our production, meaning we went from serving 10,000 people in 1 year to 21,000 in 2020, and that increased to over 26,000 in 2021. In 2020, we handed out 1.2 million pounds of food, and last year, mostly because of Ida and COVID, that increased to 1.8 million. The value of this food, if you base it at $100.62 a pound, is over $3 million. Now, my budget isn't that, but we find a way to go ahead and do that. The one thing that we end up doing that we can't tangibly tabulate is during the storm, we had over 10 cooking trailers who were really only there for 1 or 2 days at a time. And every day we had 8 to 10 cooking trailers come and shop at the food bank and using our stores so they could stay on site longer, because long-term MREs are not a healthy option. They're not healthy for the military, and we had people on them long-term, and Ms. Peoples and Tom from, I keep saying charity, but from Jaber was saying that we needed to get them off of that. So the longer we could keep these cooking trailers on site providing hot meals, we did. We know from the poundage of food that we provided well over 100,000 foods, and everything that you see there has come at no cost to Terrebonne Parish. We do this on monies that we raise with grants, donations, and our own activities. So all of this that we've helped has been at no cost to Terrebonne Parish. Just to kind of put it in perspective, if you take every person that we served last year and we put them in their car and we created a line, that line would be 129 miles long. So you could drive, so that line would go all the way to New Orleans and back, just with the people that we served. The food at 1.8 million, understand it wasn't that long ago that we were dealing with banana boxes in the back of a Ford pickup truck. If you take the poundage and put it in pallets, that would be 1,800 pallets. If you put the pallets in a line, that pallet line would be 1.4 miles long. And again, we brought it in, we processed it, we divvied it out to the people who are in need. Some months after, and while the recovery came better because it was a wind event versus a water event, or at least someone faster. Come Thanksgiving, I mean, understanding it happened at the end of August, we had September, October, and the end of November. The demands on not only us, but the parish had not recovered. Thanksgiving week, we did 8 distributions in 8 days in 5 different locations. And in that time, where in past traditional months would be from 1,500 to 2,000 people, in those 8 days, we served some 3,171 people, and we gave them a little over 52 pounds of food, including a turkey, and we handed out over 103,000 pounds of food, all again on the generosity of others. It's not slowing down, and we still have a lot of people that are hurting. And traditionally, our January and February are our 2 slowest months. Last year was a record year, and in January and February, we did a little over 1,500. Well, I will tell you that January this year and February of this year, we served over 2,000. And so the problem is there's a new problem that is out there creating a greater need, and it is taxing not only my staff, but our reserves. And we have stepped up over and over and over again for this parish, for COVID, the storm, and there are always limits as to what we can do. And the horror is to look at somebody and go, I'm sorry, we can't help you. And it's just a nightmare that we live in. We have senior issues, and the thing I'm talking about right now is because of the increase in inflation rate, because of the increase in fuel costs. Seniors are facing a little harder, all those on fixed incomes. And while income is probably the primary thing we look at providing assistance for on our main drive-through, we do have 21 other programs that income is not a criteria for who we help. And so, but there are 15,527 seniors 65 and older in this parish. In 2021, we helped 35% of them, meaning 35% of the seniors are coming to TCU for assistance. And again, we do what we can to help. So far in the first 2 months, which is really kind of scary, is that number is still up 32% over last year's numbers, meaning in January and December, we saw 32% more of the people we served in January from seniors and 32% more, and it's only going to get worse before it gets better. We work with 18 other partner agencies, and we work with them in various capacities. But one of the things that we sit and we talk with them, and it's to provide much more than food and assistance. But we're working with other agencies, and we're seeing domestic abuse through the roof. It is epidemic. Sexual abuse is actually higher, especially dealing with young teenagers and small children. Substance abuse, my homeless is mostly susceptible to that, and I will tell you that in all the years I've been associated with the food bank, it's bad. It's almost out of control. Suicide rate, I've got 2 agencies that work with it, and they are counseling. They are actually, their counselors are tripled the workload, and they still can't get to everybody. So the mental state and the mental well-being and the physical well-being in this parish are a problem, and it's not going to fix itself quickly. But we're doing all that we can. Supply chains, everybody's heard of it. The federal government will sit here and tell you, but you just have few more choices. It doesn't work that way. Our primary food provider is an organization, international organization called Convoy of Hope. They poured millions of dollars into us for the storm. They are sitting here telling me, Lawrence, we're going to have to help you seek other sources because there are some things that even they can't get. But the problem it creates for seniors is that when you have seniors with dietary needs or people with health issues with special dietary needs, and that 1 or 2 items that they need to eat or all they can do is eat is not on the shelf, then they end up making poor choices that create health problems. Inflation is a major factor. I had an economic report on Monday, and I'm sorry that this is bad news, but I deal with reality every day, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, is as of 2 days ago, if we're in a situation that gas prices didn't go up, they went up in the last 2 days from 2 days ago, and the current inflation rate, every family in the United States, it will cost them $2,000 a year more for fuel costs and $1,000 for food costs alone. So right now, we have every family in this country facing a $375 note on their back. And in this parish, we can't handle that. We already have a 20% poverty rate, and we're out there on the front lines, and we're doing all we can, but there are limitations, and we're beginning to see the limitations of what we can do. And like I said, I don't want any of y'all to have to do what we've had to do in the past, is look and say, I'm sorry, I just don't have enough to help you. And we should never have to do that here. The same 10-pound bag of chicken that I bought months ago at $2.50 cost me $8 now. But you still got to get it because you know what? You still got to get a meal. Rising fuel costs. The report that I got 2 days ago was they stopped selling oil futures at $150 a barrel. They ceased that. Now it's $180 to $200 a barrel. Right now, if you think it's bad now, you let it get that high. The people of this parish are recovering. Even those who sustain, I will tell you, but it just reminded me of something. There's not a person, there's not a district represented up here that I don't have clients from. Every one of you have clients that we help on a continual basis. And I'm not just talking about our efforts for the storm or our efforts during COVID or our efforts where we never closed and we never stopped. I am telling you, every day it's getting to be a bigger battle, and this parish is more affected. I know we can go out, we're going out and doing the best we can. We're really not. At least the state recognizes what TCU is doing, and they're helping us by getting buildings, but it still costs for me to manage and to run these buildings and to provide greater resources. TCU is the only top 10 food bank in this state that receives no funding from the parish in which we're located, and yet we're still there. Every time this parish has asked us to step up, and even when they said, oh my God, what are we going to do? We step up. And I'm just asking you for some permanent funding. I talk all the time with my counterparts in the North Shore and in Hammond and in Lake Charles. And we kind of formed our own co-op to try to share expenses and such. And it just almost brings me to tears when I hear what their parishes do for them. And none of them come close to the effort that we do when I asked, North Shore's very proud of the 8,000 people that they serve. Their operational budget's $1.5 million. And when you talk to Hammond, they're really excited because they're going to cross 12,000 people served this year. And their operational expense is $1.3 million. You ask Lake Charles, who just got hit, they're going to cross $1.4 million, and they're going to do 15,000. And then they asked me, okay, Lawrence, what did you do this year? 26,000. Oh my God, you must be in the 2 million range. My budget's 700,000. So we want to step up. We want to step up more. Hurricane season is 80 days away. We're already in hurricane prep mode. We're going to do things differently. We've been able, by the blessings of God, we're going to have a new building, compliments of friends at the state level who acknowledge what we do and what we're trying to do here. We have gone out and been blessed with getting equipment. We have flatbed and a donkey. A donkey's an all-terrain forklift, and we got a flatbed that'll let me get around when the trees are down and when there are low wires where my box truck can't get. And we just got to thank you for another local company who dug deep in his pocket and said, you need a flatbed trailer that you can help go, and so we don't have to do what we experience. But there's not a one of you sitting there that I didn't go to some part of your agency, your districts, and do distribution for. I'm just telling you that we are knowing that it's going to happen soon, and our resources are getting limited. My building is still not repaired. We're fighting insurance companies and that, and I had to make a choice of, do I dig in my reserves to serve people, or do I dig in my reserves to get my building fixed? And so till my insurance company decides that they're going to come around. So we're asking you for your help. We need additional funding. I know we're not the traditional one, but we, not asking for a lot, $300,000. And so anywhere y'all can add it to a budget, it would make a huge difference. The average person who works in my staff makes $15 an hour. I don't even make 25, guys. So it's not like my people work a lot. We still depend upon heavily on volunteers. I'm more dependent upon work. I mean, I'm losing the National Guard, and I want to thank two guys for helping me keep them. Thank you. Because we couldn't have got through most of this without their help. But, and we're trying every day. And I'm just telling you that from a human factor, this parish is not on its feet. We're still on our knees. And we still need to look up to God and to pray. And I'm telling you that while we look and we see houses with fewer tarps, the people inside are not well. There's a lot of healing. Our seniors are in dire, and I'm going to use the word dire straits. And it isn't going to get better in the next 12 months. And if I can't get any help, I'm going to have to look at some of our seniors who've been there, and some of you are seniors, and I'm going to have to tell you I'm sorry, because I just don't have the money now. It's been such a strain. So, Spud, did you want to add something? I'm sorry.
Basically, I have to tell you, I've never been involved in a food bank. You know what I've done for, y'all all know who I am. You know what I did for a living for a very long time. And I came down just to see Lawrence's operation because I knew he'd moved into that new building. And 2 hours later, I had a job working with him, and I was glad to do it. And I've seen a lot of faces come through this place who you can tell they've never had to ask anybody for anything. We don't judge them. Only thing we ask is 2 questions. Do you live here, and do you make enough money for us to give you stuff? And that's it. That's all we ask them. But the thing of it is, we're going to cross 30,000 people this year, whether we have a storm or not. And if we have another storm, we may be up to 35. The bottom line is, we need the help. We will always step up when you call us. We always will, but we might not be able to bring that much stuff to the table. That's why we're here.
Hang on one second. Mr. Babin?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to put this on the agenda tonight. Lawrence and I speak. If y'all haven't been to the old place, the old food bank on Magnolia, if you ever went there, you'd wonder how they served as many meals as they did out of there. The new place on Sunset is absolutely fabulous. And I go there quite often. Lawrence knows that. And what I'm telling you is, if you haven't been there, you need to go by. We give away a lot of things in this parish, and I happen to agree with Lawrence. I think we need to look at this as a budgetary item. And I don't know that number. Naturally, that's going to have to be worked out by administration. But I really think that this council needs to take a long, hard look at us giving permanent help to a food bank that is doing this type of work. So whether it be this year, a budget amendment, or an item next year that we can budget, we really need to look down hard at this one to make sure that we follow through on it, because these guys do a great job. And I'll leave that because I know Mr. Guidry is going to ask a question or make a statement from when we were there one day. So in any event, y'all do fabulous work. Thank you very much. And the people of this parish know what kind of job y'all do.
Thank you.
Mr. Harding.
Yes, in advocating for those that are misfortunate, and realistically, as I travel, and we've talked, Lawrence,
Sure. You've
on
been
the
a good
case.
guide for us. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a combination of things across the board, and you being very, very realistic, and I'm being very, very realistic too.
Sure.
Homelessness and food, and those things kind of go hand in hand. I guess if Ms. Domingue was here, she works with the mental health aspects of it also. So I think all these agencies, are supported in different ways, unlike your agency. And I can be rather supportive in the conversation in reference to budgetary items, if the possibility or likelihood of it, or making something that goes on a yearly basis to actually help you out with some of the costs. Because I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
In reference to the homeless, because when I visit and I've seen when you're the first on Magnolia Street was in my district.
Right, and you were very kind. You visited us on more than one occasion. Thank you.
Right. The thing is, and I've been trying to address homelessness and the position that people that are in and people that are actually displaced. And I know your system actually follows the people. And then hopefully, we can get together and see and try to track some of these people, because I am looking for those people too, because they are displaced and these people are in need of a number of things, but we have to seek and find them because, like the gentleman just said, some people have that much pride within themselves where they won't go there, and then they've been forced to be there. So I'm actually just kind of piggybacking with Mr. Babin and the benevolence of the hearts of my constituents that we can actually hopefully, if not meet your mark, make something and some type of effort because of the condition that we're in right now, even after the storm, to actually support your organization.
Thank you. We last year, and we actually lost track at the Hurricane Ida. Until that point, we had over 256 homeless in this parish that we served out of our location till the end of August. Our tracking after that has been difficult. One of the things that we learned is because of the size of our parish, not only for distribution points, we now have 4 other distribution points around the parish. We're desperately trying to add 3 more, because when people don't have the money and the means to get around, then we have to go to them. And so the problem is, even that 3/4 of a mile move from the old location to the new one meant that we had less people coming in. So we still have several programs for long-term housing and for educational assistance, but the problem is we have no place to put them. I just spoke with somebody with Hope House. They needed a partner. And so if we can help them with the food and to help with the seniors, and they're going to do a place with showers, I'm helping them try to find funding to make some long-term sheltering for them and giving them my grant writers and to try to deal with this. But homeless don't travel more than 3.5 miles from where they feel comfortable in staying. So we almost have to find pivot points or distribution points that will relate to where they want to stay. Most of the people with homeless think that they are miscreants. They're not. The crime rate is not very high. Most of these people suffer from mental illness. And then you're going to be surprised how many women and children there are. Unfortunately, the parish is one of my absolute favorite place. Is the women's shelter here, and Beautiful Beginnings, and it's damaged. It's basically almost out of function. And we worked very closely with them, providing them with assistance. And I know some of the things are beyond our control, but you're right. The homeless is probably the most forgotten people in this. And by classification, believe it or not, there are now over 2,000 more, according to HUD. In the conversation I had 2 weeks ago, there are 2,000 more homeless now by definition because they lack their own physical place to live, living in non-standard structures.
Mr. Guidry.
Yeah, Mr. Lawrence, I'd personally like to thank you for what your organization have done for everybody down these bayous. I know that you provided lots and lots of meals, and whenever I asked you of something, you jumped on it and you got it done for me. You know, what you guys do is amazing. I believe a while back you had come before us and you had said that for every dollar of contributions that you guys got, you could turn that into like a $7 contribution.
7 cans of food, yes, sir.
And I mean,
Still
it might
the
be a
number.
little different now with the economy that's going on, but this food bank is going to be very well needed. If our economy and our world keeps going the way it is, that with our fuel prices, grocery prices, people won't be able to afford to eat. They're going to have a choice between putting gas in a gas tank to get the doctor's appointment or have food in their bellies. And, you know, I think we need to find a way to get you that $300,000. Because, I mean, that $300,000 would turn in, at your figures, up to $2.1 million, you know. And I know you can do a lot of good with that, but my heart goes out to you guys, and whatever y'all need from that I can help y'all with, please ask, because I know, like I said, I was down in the battlegrounds down the bayou, and you guys were always there. You know, whenever I asked, there's a lot of places. I know Mr. Ronnie LaReal sitting in the audience. He's one person that helped me out a whole lot of getting stuff for the people, because they're still hurting down there. You know, some of them still aren't in homes, and they need, and it's the elderly that are really going to hurt in this long run, you know. I know, and another thing is, you know, I think what we need to look into is, you know, we talked about homeless here, and we need to do something to have a place and a way to feed these people on these nights when it gets to freezing cold temperatures. Like all these other cities, they have programs set up, and we need to set up in Terrebonne Parish, we need to set up programs where all these homeless people have a place to stay on a cold night.
The 2 freezing nights where we had freeze warnings, we picked up the phone, and the first night I called Tim, Tim Saunier, the sheriff, and I said, Tim, I'll provide you the food, I can provide you some pillows and blankets, can I have your motor pool? And this was the first one, and he said yes. Now, we don't always have a whole lot in our shelter. Part of our agreement with the EEOC is to provide food for the first responders, food for the shelters, and then food for the general public thereafter. And we had 26 people on the first cold night. And then unfortunately, before the second one came back, I will tell you that I went back to Tim and said, look, we got to do something. And Hope House said, we'll man it. But it's a problem of where do we go, and the Marine Corps League stepped up and said, we'll use that facility, but they lost power, and they had 30-something people. The third time, Earl was gracious enough to obtain the municipal auditorium. We had 40-something people in there that night, and we provided, again, the food. Hope House came and manned it for us. But I view these events like you're talking about as it's the weather events that potentially harm people, and it's not a storm, so we need to plan, and we do try, and there are some initiative efforts, and we work with many different organizations who will step up. We just seem to be the hub at this point, and we're not going to stop. So
one other thing I want to mention is that it's not just the weather events. We're starting a new program. It's in the beginning stages, but what we are going to start doing now is provide work, training, and food, because a lot of people who are out on probation and parole, they are food insufficient, which is one of the reasons why there's so much recidivism. I mean, they go in and they steal food because they're hungry. We are going to start feeding them, and we're going to start bringing them into our warehouse and teach them warehousing skills and sign off on them, and we've already got 3 businesses lined up to hire them when they come out of our program. So that's going to improve the safety of our community, and that's just one of the more myriad things that you would go. A food bank does that. We do everything.
Well, yeah, we
got this-
need to think outside of the box, you know what I mean, and try to figure out new ways of taking care of our people in Terrebonne Parish. So, but Mr. Lawrence, thank you all for what y'all do from the bottom of my heart, and thank you all for the people I represent down these bayous. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I want to share a story, very cool. I know I'm long, I'm sorry. We were working 12 hours, 14-hour days. Dirk has my number and he calls it. I, just out of sheer exhaustion, we get up for 6 in the morning. One morning, Dirk called me and it was 5:49. And it's like, Dirk, I get up in 10 minutes, what do you need? And he said, Lawrence, I have to be first in line. And I said, Dirk, I promise, Chauvin's going to be first in line this morning. And I've never seen anybody except for you and Mr. Babin and some of the other councilmen. This parish needs to know how doggedly y'all fought for that. They don't get these stories, and I'm hoping these stories getting around. And there's not a single one of you sitting up here, even my old friend Mr. Navy, that didn't work so hard. And they don't hear these stories. And my buddy here to the left will sit here and tell you, I had a line at the EOC, can I get some help doing this? And you know who was mostly in the line? Almost all of you. And I wish the parish would have seen that. And I want to thank you. But the phone call, it's a story I'm going to keep from the storm forever. Lawrence, I just need to be first in line.
Well, that's because my phones at my house started ringing at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean, from people that needed things. But, you know, thank you a lot for what y'all do.
Thank you.
Hang on, Mr. Navy.
You know, I'm thinking about what you're saying, Mr. Lawrence, and I just want to say that, you know, I have been a lot of places and a lot of municipalities throughout the country, and I see that a lot of people do what they call a community needs assessment, especially from the government perspective. I don't even see we do that at Terrebonne Parish. I haven't seen that. We've seen assess things that, to me, is not very tangible to the people. No offense to anybody or no offense to any leaders here. But I think that, you know, we fight hard like crazy for recreation and things like that. But when we think about the people, I always say the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. I just feel like we need to concentrate more on the people and the needs of the people. What you do is fantastic. I love it. But I just don't understand why you had to come here and ask for something that we should be asking of you, first of all. Now, the fact that I don't even think we help you. But if we don't have no contract or no agreement with you to kind of help the people of this parish that pay the taxes, for all of us to be able to do what we do, especially for the people of the Bayou country, you know, I mean, it's a win-win situation. So that's confusing to me that you have to come here and ask us of this, when we should be telling you and asking you, saying, look, Lawrence, what could we do? How much can we give you to help the people?
I don't ask him that question.
Well, that's
Everybody
not,
knows that
but
joke.
shouldn't be a
Don't tell Lawrence,
question.
what can I do, because I'll
But
ask.
my point is, that shouldn't be a question that we should have to ask. We should tell you what we want to do to help you. And that's the confusing part I feel about government. That's why it's a nasty taste in my mouth right now sometimes when I sit up here and see a lot of money that's going in places that's not very feasible to the people. It helps some people, but not all the people. And that's what concerns me. So I agree with Mr. Babin. Mr. Babin, I think you need to make sure some money go. I agree with you, Dirk and John, and this whole 9 of us up here. We need to.
I listened to something that you said when I first stepped down. I left a very good paying job to come to the food bank. And again, it was an insane moment, but it's where God led me. But I listened to something you and I had a conversation about. We were very, very good at mass distribution. But the problem is we didn't have enough programs that pinpointed. You talked about the needs of the many. That's not the first time you and I had this conversation. Right. And I'm going to tell you, we have 21 different programs. And like, for example, the program we work with, the Haven, when they have to take the person, the breadwinner, out of the home, sometimes many families stay together because where am I going to get money and where I'm going to eat? Okay, so now we've taken that off the table. We work through the Haven, we provide them with food, just like we deal with the homeless. It's a very specific program. It's not income-based, but we do that. What we're doing with the Pardon Board, we even got the state to pay these people so they can come in and they're going to walk out with job skills and a job. We work, of the 21 different programs we do, many of them are so pinpointing with the seniors. One of the things I'm trying desperately, and I just told my grant people, I said, I need another one written. I need another miracle pulled out of the hat. and they're limited. We do get some assistance from HUD, but the most of the problem is it's COVID money that ends this year. It's done. And so that's going to leave a big hole in our budget. But one of the things that we talked about seniors is one of you guys mentioned that they're not going to make a choice of food or gasoline. I am trying to get a senior-only distribution, northern part of the parish, the southern part, because I'm sitting in the middle part of the parish. And to get seniors to drive out to get food, if I can go ahead and get locations where I do senior-only distributions, that's pinpointing exactly what you're saying, where the need is, let's go to them. I've got some communities in the northern part of the parish. I'm looking for a site. We do feeding for the recreation centers, and we talked about that. That's a pretty cool program. I love that during the summer. We provide meals for the kids who don't get them during the summer. And so that's all things that most people don't know that we do. They see the line wrapped around the food bank, and they think, oh, that's what we do. And it's like, no, man, that's barely a tip of the spear that what we do. So, and I'm sorry we're having to be here, but I just do not want, we know that we're gonna have a greater need coming up this year. We're not healthy yet. I know y'all have a lot of pull on your resources, but I'm telling you right now, if I can't get some help from this parish, at some point we're gonna have to say no. And I pray to God I never have to do that.
Well,
that would kill me.
well,
Y'all gonna bury me the next day.
Well, no, and look, I think that we could do this. I mean, we got a council here that's, I think, to support that. But I think when this council look at things, you have, you got the upper class, middle class, and lower class. How much of this parish really is the upper class? Okay,
Very little.
Very little. And the fact that the upper class of the parish need to understand that the survival of this parish is on one resource. That's the oil and gas industry. Okay. So that feeds into the fact that if that class of people, the oil and gas industry, goes away because it's not stable, then where we all gonna be? So we need to have something like this, and we need to be planning. We did poor planning over these last years, so we need to start doing some really comprehensive planning. So I agree with you. I think this council will support you, and I'm gonna leave it like that. I just think you just leave it up to the council. With Dirk them, I mean, I know how they fight, and he's a fighter. I don't even like to hear him when he gets mad. So. So we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Thank you.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah, I just, along with John is saying right there, we have a responsibility. So I think as a council, we need to, let's not just forget about this after Lawrence and Spud leave tonight, okay? Let's make sure we keep this on the front burner. Work with administration and see what we can do to help the food bank out, because just by sheer numbers that they showed us tonight, we almost ought to be ashamed of ourselves that we haven't done it in the past already. So in any event, let's not let this go by the wayside, please. It's one of the reasons why I asked him to come up here tonight, because when he showed me the numbers, they were staggering to me. I had to take a second look, to be perfectly honest. So I'm asking, please, administration, this council, let's try to find something that they know at least they have a certain budgetary amount every year. Thank you.
And Mr. DeHart, I have to leave after this to go to a police jury association. Sorry. But on Monday, when you have a moment on Monday, if you don't mind giving me a call.
Absolutely.
I have an idea that, if we could get the reporting requirements correct, it might be a source that we can tap into. So if you don't mind calling me on Monday, if that works out, then that may solve some of your problems.
I will promise you 8 o'clock you will get that phone call.
Thank you, Mr. DeHart. Have a great day.
Thank you.
We have a motion to go into public hearing. Mrs. Dirk Gidry, second Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? We divert and take up the 6:30 public hearings. A, an ordinance declaring 2 items for the Houma Fire Department, a 2006 Thomas school bus, unit number 506, having a value of $12,000, and a 1995 Hurricane ladder truck, unit number 401, having a value of $20,000 as surplus, and authorizing said items to be disposed of by any legally approved methods. Public once, public twice, third time public. Motion to close, Mrs. Dirk Gidry, seconded by Mr. Gerald Michel. All in favor say aye. Motion to adopt, Mr. Gerald Michel, seconded by Mr. Dirk Gidry. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Ordinance is approved. Item B, an ordinance to dedicate and accept the maintenance operations of the servitudes for Emerson Lakes Phase 2. Public once, public twice, third time public. Motion to close, Mr. Michel, seconded Mr. Harding. All in favor say aye. Motion to adopt, Mr. Michel, seconded Mr. Harding. Discussion. Mr. Michel.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody's here to address this. But in other parts of the parish, there have been issues where the curbs and whatnot are falling apart prematurely, only to find out long after the fact that they probably weren't done correctly by their original contractors. Is there any way to check that before they're approved? I'm specifically talking, I mean, you know, and if you want to know the specific example that I'm talking about Wallace Thibodeau. Those curbs are terrible, and I just can't imagine that they were done correctly in the first place. I'm not an expert on it. I don't see any rebar in there, and
Mr. Pulaski.
and so, but I want to know if there's a way, and even if we don't do it now, sometime before the 1 year expiration. Mr. Pulaski, if you would speak to that.
Yeah, Chris Pulaski, Director of Planning and Zoning. So, in instances where we have major subdivisions, and the difference between major and minor doesn't really have anything to do with size. It has to do with whether or not any public infrastructure is being constructed. So, in instances where roads and things like that, public infrastructure, it's a major subdivision. Part of the final phase of the major subdivision approval process is the parish goes out. Different divisions and departments go out and inspect these subdivisions to confirm that what was built is built indeed to the standards that the parish requires or better, right? In the case of minor subdivisions, there aren't any infrastructure that's being constructed, like the item that was just before you. But we do have various departments, roads and bridges, pollution control, they all send crews out to do those inspections, and they don't get approved by the planning commission until all those items have been addressed. So that when they are brought to you all of that stuff's sorted out. Now, there's a 1 year warranty that goes along with the new subdivisions, and we have the 1 year warranty inspections that go along with that as well. But in instances where, you know, years later, if there's, you know, a defect, then that's just something that our Public Works Department budgets for and has procedures in place, you know, for repairs like curbs or broken panels, things like that.
Okay. All right, and that's what I wanted to know. I know that's not really applicable to this one specifically, but,
Yeah.
but that's what I was wanting to know, because the Wallace Thibodeau thing just seems like it wasn't built properly, and it's way past the time, okay? But it just seems like it's so brittle that it's falling apart in so many places.
Yeah, there may be certain factors that play into that, but I would encourage you or all of you, if you have constituents that bring those types of items to you, to direct them to the the resident tab on our website, because they can report all that kind of stuff online, and then it gets to the right department much faster.
And just for the sake of transparency, Wallace Thibodeau is not in my district, but I have friends who live there who I've spoken to about it, and since this was coming up, I wanted to ask. But I appreciate your answer, sir. Thank you.
And one of the things I've noticed in some of my neighborhoods, which are newer, that have cracked sidewalks, a lot of times I find the contractors fail to put in the proper expansion joints at the curb when they do the driveways. So, and it doesn't show up for several years as the heat starts, and then it breaks up, and that is what I find. And it's really not a defect in the workmanship as far as the subdivision developer, but you know that's kind of a problem, and there's not much we can do about that, I guess. But thank you, Chris.
Sure.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ordinance is approved. Motion to go back in regular order, Mr. Dirk Guidry. Second, Mr. Gerald Michel. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? We're going to item D, update, discussion, and possible action concerning the recommendations of the Terrebonne Parish Recreation Modernization Advisory Board regarding scheduling, accounting practices, purchasing, policy manuals, and all other pertinent information. Mr. Michel? Oh, hold on.
All right, thank you. And I just wanted to ask, you know, I've been in meetings with Mr. LaReal and Ms. Candace, and then, of course, Ida hit, okay? And it's hard to have time to do everything with Ida, but then now some of the information that she's put here for us shows that they have not stopped working on it, okay? And so if y'all would just give us a little update, that would be wonderful. And also, this handout has the table of contents. Is it possible to get the document?
Roddy LaReal, Recreation Director. What's that? I'm sorry. I'm trying to take it off your back. I know you're pleased for it. I'm trying to help you out. I did pass out the table of contents that part of the manual that has been completed and given to the Recreation Advisory Board. So instead of me, I planned on just reviewing it, but you have it there. So Ms. Malden and I did meet a week before last to continue the process. As you can see, we are moving along, and I don't want to take a lot of time and go through the whole thing, but you can see what is highlighted and what has been completed, and then the items that are still being developed in the manual. So those are all the items that could be addressed in the manual and what is being going to be in the manual.
Have y'all set forth timeframes on implementation with the districts, and how is that coming along?
So we had it set where we were going to try to implement it for beginning of the year 2022. And then, of course,
Right.
Hurricane Ida. So we are planning on starting to work on it. The portion that they have, and I can send you the draft again that we had put in place, is really stuff that they should already have in place. It's the public bid law, all of this. It was the budgets and accounting, which could have been implemented even without the policy manual being in place. But we will kind of iron out a plan in the next couple weeks, and we can give you that. It did kind of take a back seat, but we're now going to put it back in the front seat and try to get it done.
And I'm grateful for everything y'all have done, and it's obvious it had to take a back seat. And what about the program for the scheduling and all that? Have we purchased that yet?
Right. So the software program, I've assigned Mr. Wendell to spearhead that project, so he can come up and he's more up to speed on the day-to-day operations. But the program is purchased. We have been assigned a project manager, and we have started training sessions with it. But he'll know more in detail what's going on with that.
Good evening, Jim Wendell, Recreation Administrator.
Thank you for coming, sir.
No problem. As Roddy said, we put out to bid, we did purchase the program. We do have access, but it is not released to the public. This is a very complex system. It has the financing in there, has ways for us to track what facilities are being used, the cost of use of the facility, and all the things that the Modernization Task Force asked for. Another one of the big things was the scheduling of the facilities, so we can have the recreation stuff there as well as the public stuff that the facilities need to be used for, rented out for. So what we are doing now, every Monday we have a meeting with our project manager, a Zoom meeting where the recreation staff is on there, and we are building the backside of the program. We have started to enter some of the facilities. The problems that we're having now is, as Candace mentioned, a lot of the things in the recreation districts have changed due to damages, due to Ida, due to repairs, due to we're waiting on insurance. So we have populated a lot of the gyms and ball fields, which are two of the seasons that are coming up. It requires a lot of information that we do not have from the recreation districts as far as the amount of rental and some specific things as far as rental agreements and rental prices. But we cannot assign venues in the program for teams to practice or play if we don't have the basic information. So we're uploading pictures of the facilities, Google Maps, directions, things like that. We're also populating our sporting seasons. And it sounds kind of simple from looking at it from the outside. Okay, just add basketball. but we have boys and girls basketball. In each of the basketballs, we have 5 different leagues. So it takes time to put the requirements in there because everything is based on age or gender or things like that. So it's taken a little while to build the backside of it. But as we progress along, the staff of ladies that we have up there are actually putting some of the current functions that we're doing now, the current leagues, into the system. We're creating profiles for the parents and users, and all this will be erased before it goes live because we're doing a lot of testing and a lot of billing. We're trying to actually break the program, and what we don't want to do, we have a dated program in place now that needs a lot of improvement. That's why it was suggested that we go to this. We don't want to switch from something that's working to something that we start having problems with once it's released to the public and it's not good to use. So as we're populating it, we're testing it. We're putting participants in there, rosters in there. We're sending emails out to these email addresses that we populated with. We want to make sure that when we do release it live, that the public will not have any issue navigating it, getting along with it. And that's not only going to help on the accounting side, on the scheduling side, on the use of facility side, but the egg on the face with TPR of, oh, we've double booked the gym, oh, we're not having this game because of, and as we move along, we're doing it the old way by hand, where we're scheduling everything out, we're paper filing rosters into each other like we've always done, but we're also using the program to make sure that we're getting almost the same result. Now, we're not going to do it as efficiently or assign just as the computer would, but what we've come to so far is it's getting the needs done. So it all just goes back to the staff being able to populate the stuff as the recreation districts get the information to us, of course, as they get it from insurance or contractors from being repaired. But we are well ahead of where I thought we would be, but we still have a long way to go because of the amount of information that you have to put in there per facility, per person, per sporting season, per league, all of those things.
Any of the recreation district would know that, okay, these 3 facilities or 10 or however many it is facilities are damaged, but they're going to be repaired. So can you put them in and then just show that this temporarily out of order? Is that something?
That's what we're doing. You can enter it in there and not put a rental rate or not put an availability rate, but it has to be in there in order for us to be able to use it. So even though we have a ball field that has lights down or doesn't have bleachers, and it's deemed safe to use for practices, daylight activities, we still have to have it in there for the computer to recognize it and assign teams or assign employees that we have, whether it be scorekeepers, timekeepers, supervisors, field directors, to prepare the fields, to get the gameplay going. So we are progressing with it. I think we have 2 or 3 more sessions with our project manager, and we should have covered all of the functions. But as we go through a function, after we finish our Monday meeting, we get homework that's sent to us. And then we have the staff who's populating everything to make it work, and then we try to just break it, get it not to work, and it's holding up extremely well.
And are y'all putting appropriate timelines that the recreation districts need to follow in order to get you information, and is that working out okay?
We have, I'm speaking just on the program. We have sent out a request at the monthly Recreation Advisory Board meeting that they have. And we got a little pushback the first couple of meetings because I don't think they had the information. It was still fresh from IDA, fresh from insurance. But as we call and speak to people, Roddy did send out a thing that requests, who do we contact to find out this information? We did get the results of that, and as we reach out to contact the representative, we are getting some information.
When is the next advisory board meeting?
Last Tuesday. And that's at the TPR building at 6 p.m.
On Barrow Street, same
Yes,
place? Okay. Okay. Because I want to try to go because I'm real I'm pleased with what I'm hearing. There's no question. Okay, I'm ecstatic that y'all have the program, and y'all are moving forward with it.
So in a nutshell, after about 3 or 4 weeks of us learning the things, we will wipe out the registration stuff, the registrants, the accounts that we created with people's names and the email addresses, so we can test it. And the only thing we'll be left with is our programming and the facilities. Then we will go through and make sure that all the facilities represent what the recreation districts want them to be. Their rental rate, their properties that they have available, and then we'll probably release it to the public so they can start creating accounts to start registering before we move away from the current system that IT has in place that we use.
Okay, all right. And is anybody here from the chamber or from the Let's Do More group that might want to ask questions? Nobody's here for that. Okay, I find that hard to believe, but you know, let it be known that nobody's here for that. And you know, we're addressing what I consider to be the most important aspects of what the task force recommended.
Right.
And that's that Part B section, okay? And I find some people are more focused on the Part A, which I think is going to damage us. And that's my humble opinion. But again, back to the topic, thank you all so much for your information. I'll look forward to going to the
Well, I'll tell you
meeting.
what, we're like the duck. On the surface, we may look like we're just coasting along, but underneath the water,
This is great. Yeah, this is great. Thank y'all. I know y'all are doing, you know, there's so much to do. Y'all must be dealing with insurance claims and repairs out of the wazoo. You know, I don't know. And trying to schedule everything without facilities being available. Right. It's just, and it'll get better every day.
Yes.
Okay, so, but thank y'all for being here. I appreciate the update, and I think the public appreciates the update. And again, thank you. Let me know if I can do anything.
Mr. Navy.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to Roddy about this, since he's the director. Mr. Roddy, this program here, where does it exist anywhere else? Did you know where it exists anywhere else?
Yeah, they're using it in Jefferson Parish.
And you all have a model of this that you're going to display to the council? Or, you know, we're just talking intangibles, but I like to see something actually. When this go live, I think we need to see it before the public.
We could arrange for that to come in and give a demonstration.
Yes, I would like that
works.
because when the questions get asked, guess what? They're not going to ask you. They're going to ask us because you can tell them to call us and ask us about it. So we need to be educated toward it too.
We'll be more than happy to give a brief demonstration and try and explain how it works and all that. But I'm also really excited about the program and the things I'm seeing. I think it's exactly what we're looking for. It's going to be able to clean up a lot of the issues we've had in the past. So,
and the public going to be able to see this where? How are they going to be able to?
They'll just visit our website and be able to go to it.
So how are we going to get that out to the public about the website and all that kind of stuff?
We use our social media. One thing, Mr. Navy, is that our social media page, I think how many, do you know off the top of your head, how many followers we have? I know it has increased a lot.
Everybody don't have social media. I'm saying besides social media, how are we going to get this out to the public? That's what I'm concerned about, because that's been a misconception about recreation, transparency, and getting that information out to the public. Mm-hmm. So how we plan on, do we have a plan for how we're going to get that out yet? Are we working on that? Does that make any sense?
We've discussed in the past, and at you guys' recommendation, we've sent flyers to the schools that they passed out with all of our registration dates and everything. Okay. And I think it would be a good idea to do the same. Now, the website that the public is going to see all of this stuff on is the same site we're using now. So on the day that we roll it out, the parish stuff will go away and this program stuff will take over.
Okay, where do the rec districts fall in also as far as getting them the information to make sure they get that out? The rec district, what plan you all have with them? See what I'm saying?
We have training for them.
Okay.
The districts that are, I guess, technology savvy,
Mm-hmm.
that will want to run their own things, we will have logins for them where they can go in and do things and populate calendars or look at things. And the ones who may not be as tech savvy or who do not have the resources at their facility, we do have a person on our staff that will be able to handle those requests for them by telephone. If they call and say, hey, we need every Tuesday for yoga night for the elderly ladies that are coming, we can line that up.
And just for the record, you're saying the rec districts have all this information already, is what you're saying?
No, they do not have the information
Okay, that's
already.
the problem I have right there. And that's why I'm saying this, because when they don't have that information either, that fall back on us that represent those districts. That's why I'm saying we're going to come with a plan. You come to the council, I have no problem with this, nothing with recreation. But my problem I have is that we get the fallback from the stuff
right.
when things are not put to the public the right way, if that makes any sense, because that's why I'm concerned. If you're going to have a plan, come with a plan. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
So we don't get hit. We got hit already.
I do
with this
understand
stuff.
what you're saying, and I think the thought process was the more people we had involved in building it, the more confusing it would be. Because
That's confusing now. I mean,
it's basic information that we're putting in, and you cannot use it until that information is there. And in the training sessions that we have with the project manager every Monday, we have a finance person that sits in, we have an IT person that sits in, and the recreation staff. And I don't feel I can tell you or the public or even the recreation districts how to use it or how to navigate it until I know how to navigate it.
And that's why I'm saying, when you do get that information, bring it to everybody.
Yes, sir.
So that could, if that make any sense.
Yes,
so
sir, it does.
Everybody could be on the same page. And when these questions are asked to us by the public, so we know the right answer. That's all I'm asking.
Most definitely.
You know, and definitely get it out to the general public for transparency in the kind of way you can, Roddy, in a general manner. Okay, in a general manner.
Thanks, Mr. Navy. Mr. Harding.
Jim, I'm gonna need you back up there.
Yes, sir.
How's it going, Jim?
Pretty good.
I was part of a system that they had, the handwriting system, they had a computer system. Then they went to a different level of assessing all the work and the equipment, personnel, and stuff like that. And it was rather difficult in that transition. And I can understand how everything is going to work in-house in reference to the administration of the Recreation Department for Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government. And we understanding that we have Recreation for Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, which is the brain, that goes out to the rest of the recreation districts, which is the body, Frankenstein, that needs a body. And then when we mentioned, I heard you mention, said, well, if you decide that you want to have yogurt every Wednesday at this, also that has to go through those individual recreation districts first, and then has to be approved first, and then you actually, through that recommendation, you run a survey on that. Then it applies itself. Then it can be applied that way too, right?
Right.
Okay then. So just like last night, I was in the meeting last night, and something about some dates come up, and then it'd have been nice to have that pulled up at that point, and it wasn't no way we can actually schedule anything or allow anything to be scheduled within that particular recreation district. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, it has its advantages, but then the problem there is also, again, is the fact that whether you had something, whether Terrebonne Parish Recreation had something that would actually trump what the recreation district had already had a citizen to come in, and they wanted to actually have something. And that goes back to something what Mr. Jeremiah was saying, that, you know, I mean, those are circumstances where those people that are involved should be here so we can iron out some of these things that we're doing. Everybody, you know what I mean, regardless of politics.
Every facility, and that's why it takes so long to enter them, will have a calendar of use. And it's a color-coded calendar. If it's available, it's green. And what we need to do, it's updated in real time, is get with the recreation districts, and if they want to rent the gym on an hourly basis or on a day basis or on a 6-hour basis, that's what we need to put in there, because that's what's populated on the calendar. So it doesn't matter if TPR wants to schedule a basketball game at East Houma Gym, or if East Houma Gym wants to have the yoga classes, or if Carl Harding wants to have a repass at East Houma Gym on Saturday. When it's booked, it goes on that calendar, and I think that's where the transparency will come in, because anybody in this room can pick up their cell phone, pull up East Houma Gym on the TPR website and say, okay, this Saturday it's booked, but it's available Wednesday and Sunday. So we can, you know, if that's some of the hours that the Recreation District agreed to have it available for rental or available for use, then you would be able to book it. It goes through the Recreation District and Department before it's populated to the calendar, which is available to the district, the department, the public, anybody that has web access to see it.
Yeah, and you're saying it's on the web, and then I was at a particular school this morning, about 8 o'clock this morning, and one of the things I had to do is show them how to navigate through our system.
Right.
So, you know what I mean, I'm just saying, as we're going into the future and going back to the original, one of Mr. Michel's original questions, what's the time frame?
The time frame, we have, I think, another 3 weeks to finish the training on the program. Once we finish that, we touch base with the recreation districts again. I don't want to be too, I don't want to give false hopes, but I don't want to be too generous either. We will probably need 60, 70 days to negotiate, lack of better verbiage, with the recreation districts to make sure the facilities represent what they want them to be. Apart from policy, apart from a standardized insurance thing, but hours of the day that it's going to be used, who's responsible for payroll while it's being used, if it's a district function versus a parish function, all the inner workings of it. And then after that, we can roll it out. Of course, with some training to the districts, to you guys, just a rollout of this is what it is, this is the new us.
Yeah, and I think that's the point also that Mr. Navy, I think that's what Mr. Navy is also saying, is the fact that how we get it out there.
Right.
I mean, because these recreation districts, they basically meet once a month. So, you know what I mean, by the end of this month, you know what I mean, you got 2 shots at it before we go back into June. I think you went through probably 2 of your programs right now by then, within the next 60 days.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking at that and how we can actually help in whatever way I could to help get it out to the public. That's the thing, because recreation still have to go on even though we're in the position that we're in and trying to.
I think once we are, I hate to commit to a date. I think once we're done with the training in a couple weeks, we'll have a better idea of what a realistic thing is, a realistic date is, once we can consult with the districts, with the parish, with finance, with IT, to get everything to be seamless, because we don't want any issues at all. That's why we're trying to break it now and make sure it's fully populated.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Navy.
No, just a quick question to Roddy one more time. Roddy, about the splash park. I think at one time we had said something about if people wanted to do parties or something. Are you all still looking at that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's going to be a part of the framework that
Yes,
you're
sir.
developing
Yes,
that too?
sir.
Okay.
The intention is to have every facility in the parish on this,
Okay.
In this software that is accessible to everybody. And also, too, it'll still be accessible, the rentals, if you come into our office, you'll be able to do it in our office.
Well, I would just make sure that the splash park will still be on there.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have the out.
You gonna fix it still, by the way? You gonna make sure
I'm
it's
sorry?
repaired? You gonna make sure it's repaired?
I can't hear you.
You gonna make sure it's repaired too?
It's functional.
It's functioning all right. Yeah.
I just
If you call
need
it functional, well,
something.
okay.
I don't know if you've been out there, Lee. I don't know
Yes,
what's
I have.
causing
I have
the
been out there.
cement
Yes,
to
sir.
turn red. I don't know.
Yes, sir. I mean, I wanted to.
Yeah, but we're gonna, when we open up, we're gonna definitely have that pressure wash thing.
Okay, we're in March. I just want to let you know.
Yeah.
That's how it's getting hot. Thank you. All right.
And you may
We
want to check,
intend on opening it around Memorial Day.
and you may want to check with Dean Schwest, because I think he had some problems with that red algae
Yeah, I'm
at
not sure what's
Bayou
going
Country
on.
Sports
I kind of
Bar.
read about it.
So he may have a
different
solution.
chemicals.
You may want to try and contact him. Thanks, Roddy.
All right, thank you.
All right, moving along to public wishing to address the council, Ms. Darlene Williams. Go ahead, Ms.
evening.
Williams.
Hi.
Go ahead and say your name and address for the record, if you don't mind.
Darlene Williams, 312 Linda Ann Avenue, Gray, Louisiana, 70359.
And go ahead, Ms. Williams, you've got 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm here to, I'm advocating for some assistance. I saw a program on the computer that says Terrebonne Parish Hurricane Ida request for assistance. And I'm trying to find out about this program because I need some assistance in getting some demolition done. So I filled out the applications online to get the help. So I'm trying to find out what happens after that. You know, what's the next step?
I tell you, Ms. Williams, the right person is right back there. And if you want to step over there, Mr. Pulaski can explain to you all about or you can, if you want to give a little quick rundown, I'll allow it, just in case anybody watching is interested in the program as well.
Yeah, I spoke with Ms. Williams before the meeting. So the program she's talking about is the demolition assistance program that's through the FEMA Public Assistance Grant Program that the Parish Solid Waste Department primarily has been working with a consultant to develop the program. It's about 4 to 6 weeks out, I'm told. But right now, the survey that is online on the parish's website, residents like Ms. Williams and others can go in, fill out information, basic contact information, and what type of demolition would be required. And then that information will be given to the consultant to help basically build this program that essentially would allow FEMA's contractors to go onto private property after having signed a right of entry agreement and some other paperwork with the property owner, to be able to remove, whether it's a home that was destroyed but just that need to get it removed, or maybe a home that was completely destroyed and it's piles of debris that need to be removed, those kinds of things. All that would be eligible. And like I was saying Monday night, what we're trying to do for our reconstruction programs is marry those folks with the demolition program so that we can use the PA money to do that demolition and keep as much of the reconstruction money available for the actual reconstruction of the home instead of spending it on debris removal. So I applaud Ms. Williams' efforts going online and doing that, and I would encourage other citizens in the same situation to do the same.
Just a quick question, excuse me, Ms. Williams, but do you have to own the property? What if you own the home, but you're renting the property, like say in a mobile home park?
Well, in those instances, I mean, the right of entry agreement has to be from the property owner.
So as long as the owner gave you the permission, you could tear down somebody's a home that is now demolished and they have to get rid of.
Right. I mean, there's going to be, just as we've learned with a lot of the programs, there's going to be certain unique situations and nuances on a lot of properties. Like you might have a property that has multiple owners. You know, maybe there's 12 family members that own a piece of property. So which one signs it? Is it all 12 or is it just one? So those are the kinds of things that the consultant and FEMA, who have done these programs many times in the past, will work with our legal department and others to figure all that kind of stuff out.
Not say cutting you off, Chris, but there is.
Please do.
There is a question on here that say, if there are multiple owners, please list all owners below. Only owners may apply, not tenants or lessees. So I guess if it hadn't been full succession, and say for instance there's 3 or 4 people that owns that same property, I guess they want everybody's name on there. Is that what that's saying?
It's not saying that. It just says list those owners, okay? But I think they're just trying to gauge, you know, how these people are going to want to know, well, how many properties in Terrebonne Parish haven't gone through succession? What are we going to be faced with when we implement this program?
Because like my property, there's 4 dead people that's on the deed. I'm the only one that's living.
Okay. I tell you what, I'm going to let y'all go ahead and talk and explain your situation. Thank you for bringing it to the attention, Ms. Williams, so people are aware of the program.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Jason Serrano.
Jason Serrano, 8358 Main Street. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here as the chairperson of the Terrebonne Parish Tree Board to invite you all to the 16th annual tree giveaway in conjunction with the Good Earth Market on Saturday, March 19th, 2022, beginning at 9 a.m. at the main branch library here in Houma. Our tree giveaway includes the distribution of 200 native trees in 3-gallon containers and over 200 bare root saplings to residents of Terrebonne Parish. This tree giveaway program is made possible by a grant from the Apache Corporation Tree Grant Program. It is through their support that Terrebonne Parish citizens are able to make Terrebonne a greener, healthier, and more beautiful place to live. By planting trees, our residents help with stormwater mitigation, decrease land subsidence, and improve the quality of our air, soil, and water. Hurricane Ida has reshaped the landscape of our community. Nothing looks familiar anymore as you drive up and down the bayous of Terrebonne Parish. So many trees that were once landmarks have been lost or damaged. It's time that our land starts healing along with our community. I'm really proud to be a part of a group that can help our community recover in an important way. It's time for us to plant trees that become the landmarks that our children and grandchildren will recognize for years to come. I want to thank the council and our parish president, Dove, for your continuing support. Thank you very much.
Hang on, we have a light, Mr. Harding.
Yes, really, it's kind of off guard. I was actually looking at the communities in Terrebonne Parish, the way it is, and I remember reading Johnny Appleseed, going down, then looking at 311, the oak trees that are there, some of the trees on Koto, and they look, wonderful. And there are other areas that, trees that have been, just toppled.
Really? Yeah.
And I'm happy that you're doing something like that, and definitely saying to the public on March 19th.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate.
Go get a tree.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. Yeah, I'm not originally from here. I'm actually a transplant from Brooklyn, New York. So just the trees out here are just amazing. Yeah, only one tree grows in Brooklyn, but it's in concrete, so it's a different environment. It's really beautiful out here, and I feel very privileged to be a part of just preserving that, because it's very special and it's needed, and it has lots of benefits to our community. So thank you very much for this.
And thank you for what you do.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You guys take care.
Moving along to committee reports, Budget and Finance Committee, Mr. Carl Harding.
Yes, I make a motion to ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee held on March 7th, 2022, and I have 4 public hearings. First one, introducing an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute an intergovernmental agreement on the behalf of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government between Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government Economic Development Authorities to continue to lease space to TIDA and government towers, and to continue joint efforts to promote industrial and economic development in the parish of Terrebonne, Louisiana, and call for a public hearing on Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. The second one, introducing the ordinance to amend the 2022 adopted operating budget and 5-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items, and to provide for related matters. Homer Police Department LA Commission on Law Enforcement grant $17,385. Homer Police Department LA Commission on Law Enforcement grant in parentheses 110-206. Homer Police Department Edward Bain Memorial Justice Assistant grant $12,859. City Marshal $16,750. Homer Police Department $10,599. Animal Shelter donation $100,000. Planning $10,872. Planning Department $12,000. Maintenance of levy facility planning and control $3 million. Parish Farm Agent Department $6,500. Montague Fire District number 6 generator project $22,027. That's $22,027. La Petite facility $84,000, and calling for a public hearing on March 23rd at 6:30 p.m. I also have the number 3, introducing the ordinance to restructure Chapter 21, Article 5 of the Terrebonne Parish Code on Recreation District by enacting Section 21-49 to authorize the regulated use of the low-speed vehicles in Bayou Country Sports Park, and call for a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Finally, number 4, introducing the ordinance to authorize the permanent relocation of Terrebonne Parish precinct poles locations due to damage arising from Hurricane Ida until further notice, and call for a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m.
We have a motion by Mr. Harding, seconded by Mr. Guidry. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Next item is Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee. Vice Chairman Carl Harding.
Yes, I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Policy and Procedure Legal Committee held on March 7th, 2022, and I have one public hearing. and that is introducing the ordinance to certify and approve a ad valorem tax exempting in accordance with LARS 47431 4B for property located at 7938 Main Street in Houma, Louisiana, owned by Melfor Incorporated, bearing Terrebonne Parish tax parcel number 2396, in regards to restoration tax abatement renewal application number 201-20024-RTA to Louisiana Office of Commerce and Industry, and call for a public hearing on March 23rd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m.
Motion by Mr. Harding. Seconded by Mr. Amity. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Street lights, as per by Mr. Amity, seconded by Mr. Guidry. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? 5, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. The Terrebonne Parish Tree Board has 2 expiring terms on February 23rd, 2022, 1 vacancy due to a resignation, and Mr. Jason Serrano expresses his interest in being reappointed. Hold on. Go ahead, Mr. Michel.
Motion to reappoint Mr. Jason Serrano and hold over the other.
Motion by Mr. Michel. Do we have a second? Seconded by Mr. Amity. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Serrano. Did you want to say anything else? Okay. 6, vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions still vacant. That includes the Veterans Memorial District, 1 unexpired term due to resignation representing the parish president south of the Intercoastal, and 1 expired term representing the Vietnam Veterans of America. Recreation District number 1 board has a vacancy due to resignation. Rec District 7 board has 1 expiring term on March 25th, 2022. Rec District 11 board has 1 vacancy due to a resignation. The Terrebonne Parish Tree Board still has that 1 expiring term on February 23rd, 2022. And I think we filled one of those, or do we have two open still on the Tree Board? So we do have 2. So we have 1 expiring term and 1 vacancy due to resignation. So we still have 2 openings on the Tree Board. Terrebonne Parish ARC, 1 unexpired term due to resignation. The Houma Board of Zoning Adjustments, 1 vacancy due to a resignation. The vacancy is for an alternate member. Children and Youth Services Board, 2 vacancies due to resignations, 1 representing the Bayou Area Children's Foundation and 1 representing the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. And the South Central Human Services Authority, 1 unexpired term due to a resignation. Announcements? Anything, the parish president have anything? How about council members? Mr. Babin.
Yeah, before I get into announcements, what's disappointing, you just read 9 items and 8 of them had due to resignation on it. It's very difficult to get boards and commissions filled, and now we got 8 out of 9 here that people are resigning. So I hope that changes. For the people in Dulac, the Waterworks District, there's a boil water advisory, because they had a major leak down there, and there's actually still about 40 people out of water in the Grand Kai area, and it looks like it won't be lifted until Friday morning. The second thing is on March 26th, 2 Saturdays from now, there's going to be a bayou cleanup in Grand Kai. This is the 2nd annual one, so hopefully a lot of people can get involved. And also I want to continue to remind people that there is a washateria that was set up in front of the gym in Dulac. It's free to the public. I think there's like 17 washers and dryers in there. It's open from 8 in the morning until 8 at night, and it's free to the public. And again, for those parents that have children, they can go there and wash their clothes at nighttime, and the children can go to the library because it's right next door. So please, all these people that have the travel trailers, they don't have washers and dryers in them. So this is an opportunity for people in the Grand Kai area to utilize that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babbitt. Mr. Michaud.
Thank you. And I just wanted to wish my sister a happy 70th birthday. That's Carol Prevost. And I know she's going to be excited that I mentioned her name and her age to everyone in the world. So happy birthday, Carol.
Mr. Harding.
Yes, in my committee, and we approve these changes to the voting polls, and we're going to be voting in the near future. and in the future, and we had some changes. And all over the place, I don't want to read them all, but there are a number of changes, like St. Gregory Bayou Towers has been changed to South Down Elementary School, which is basically two areas that are of concern of mine. And there are others, and we're going to have, I talked to our staff that we're going to actually have this on the website, because oftentimes, people, when you have a drastic change in their voting polls and locations and stuff like that, there are some circumstances that has to be dealt with, and we want to make sure that these changes be brought out here. And I can actually concur with Mr. Babin. We've actually had a lot of people that's getting on and off boards, and for the people that actually represent the boards that we have, a lot of times that's part of your conversation that you should have. That's part of your voice. And in doing so, that's part of your service as a citizen, because oftentimes we can't be everywhere all the time. So we usually rely on these people that serve on these boards to give us information, so we don't have to be one person in 6 or 7 different places at one time. So participate on these boards, and I'm not really saying something. I heard John Amity say one time, run for office. And so I think I do a good enough job, so I'm not afraid of losing mine, but then get involved. Thank you.
Yeah, we've had several casualties of the storm, and I think some of our boards and commissions are falling victim of that, because people are so busy right now trying to fix their homes and have a place to live that they have less and less time to get involved. But if you do have time, please think about getting involved in one of these boards and commissions. I do want to mention that we are going to have an unveiling of the plaque and have a ceremony for the Barry Bonvillain Civic Center. We named the Civic Center after Mr. Barry Bonvillain, and then the storm hit and everything else happened. And so, it's a little after the fact, but we never really did have a ceremony. And I think he deserves to have a ceremony and us officially unveil it. So if you want to come, the public is invited. It's Thursday, March 17th at 5 p.m. Thursday, March 17th, 5 p.m. at the Civic Center. And they're asking attendees to wear a mask at this event. And that's all I have. And engineers' reports? As per Mr. Dirk Guidry, second to Mr. John Amity. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Amity, second to Mr. Harding. All in favor say aye. We are adjourned. Thanks, guys.
Wow.